There's you, and there's your AI art that you like to do. You're very masterful at the AI art. You always come up with something new for every episode. I'm sure you do follow the Notorious OTB at of Oaklawn. And this is the only picture I did here. Crowded field. As well as Kentucky Derby is always known for a crowded field, 20 horses. That's why you can't bet the fave. I mean, you can bet the fave, but like, you know what I mean? Like you were, it's always a great race to bet, because when you have like 20 horses, anything really can happen, because there's a lot of navigating in the traffic. But let's
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say absolutely, and it really kind of spices up the exotic wagers, like your exactas, trifectas, superfectas, where they can pay like life-changing amounts if you hit the right combinations. Right. And there's so many different combinations of exactas and trifectas and everything.
Absolutely, I don't even get out of bed for less than a superfecta when it comes to Kentucky Derby. I'm going for 6 figures every time, and I usually get a little too aggressive with the bankroll, which can happen at your Kentucky Derby. So you said there's a lot of early speed. So what do you think about that? I was thinking, is it going to? And they all got pretty bad positions to have early speed. Like a lot of them are up on the early post there, which one two. I feel like they're going to have to race extra Herculean, if you would, to pull it off, because of the how perfectly placed all the stalkers are.
Yeah, well, there's a pack of maybe like 4 or 5 horses down onto the inside with Citizen Bull, Neo Equos, Rodriguez, American Promise, and then possibly even Admire Daytona and Luxor Cafe. That's all the speed that's on the inside, all drawn right next to each other. So you're going to have all these horses with the ability to look each other in the eye, that want to be on the front, all going together. And then you have more speed drawn to the outside with the 12 East Avenue, which is the Godolphin entry. And then Owen Almighty, all the way out on the outside, number 20, has one move, and that's just go. So it's going to get pretty smoking hot early. And I think all the mid pack closers, stalkers, and everything, they're going to have an easy time just kind of sitting back, watching all those horses go, moving over to the rail and sitting a good trip.
That's what I was thinking as well. I think it's kind of turned out bad for the speed horses there. Just some of those names up front. I like the name Admire Daytona, because it's not forcing you to go, or even root for it. Just like, just acknowledge that it exists, Daytona. It's a real thing.
Have a brief of reverence for Daytona, please. Just take a step back, take a deep breath.
And Luxor Cafe, what are we doing there? Is that literally a sponsorship of the Lux Cafe, which had a good dessert chef? But I mean, I don't like the sounds of that.
It's a play on American Pharaoh, with the whole Egyptian theme, right? Which it's an American Pharaoh sired horse,
and it's the official Japanese entry, right? Luxor Cafe.
And Admire Daytona. Those are the two Japanese horses who drew right next to each other.
And they've never won, although Forever Young came very close last year, obviously. But these horses aren't Forever Young, if I'm correct. So who do we like? Who how do you think? Like you said you think the stalkers will have a nice, easy time of picking them off with these outside speed. Speaking of speed, who is the fastest of those speeds? I've had my eye on East Avenue there. Do you think he has enough to continue on? He seems like the fastest of the speed horses.
I think so. I think that's the horse that's going to show the most early pace. If everyone else kind of to the inside pumps the brakes, that would be the horse that doesn't surprise me, who makes it to the front end and controls the pace. But I do think the East Avenue is probably the quickest. It's just coming from so wide. We'll see if he can make the lead.
I mean, a couple months ago, he was like the horse almost, right? Things have pretty much changed with him as far as the odds, like 20-1. I bet he'll go off like a 30-1. But before, I mean, he was one of the favorites coming in, I thought, a couple months ago, that is, which of course a lot changes.
He got picked off late in a race at Keeneland in the Bluegrass, where he absolutely ran his eyeballs out. And I think it kind of reflects, it doesn't reflect how well he ran, but it kind of reflects how he finished the race with the 20-1 on the morning line. Right.
Yeah. Is that a problem that he's better at Keeneland than he is at Churchill? Or is that saying like maybe that's comparable, then he'll be fine at Churchill?
I kind of think it would be comparable, because what you really see at Keeneland is you see a track that tends to be a little bit of a conveyor belt for early speed horses, which East Avenue of course will be. And at Churchill Downs on Derby weekend, the track maintenance crew has this thing juiced, like built for speed, like it's scraped down and everything. So I could see it playing pretty similar. The turns are a little bit different, but altogether, like condition wise, pretty close.
Sure. All right, let's break in. Let's get into some of these favorites here, where and how we're not going to bet them. I mean, obviously, journalism is the number one fave for good reason. He looks amazing out here in San Anita. He hasn't really raced against any. I know that's a knock against him. He goes on 5-horse fields, but he destroys him. He just looks like it just looks so easy for him. But at 3-1, I can't possibly even think about betting that.
No, especially if you think that the winner is coming from off the
Yeah.
pace. Like you have to consider like these horses need the pace set up. They need a clean trip
Hmm.
without traffic or trouble, and then they need sometimes just an inspired ride by a jockey. Like this is the race to tie yourself to a rocket instead of hitting
All
chalk.
right. Well, then what are you thinking there? Then for some, I tell you what, I don't remember a field like this where there's been so many possible win candidates for me though. I can see like 8 or 9 horses that can actually legitimately win this thing.
I think there are quite a few, and there's some at some massive
Yeah.
prices. I'm honestly touting 2 horses that I'm using in the second half of like the Kentucky Oaks Kentucky Derby
Oh,
double that they
give it
offer.
all.
It's the first one is going to be the number 3 Final
Mm.
Gambit with the Axeman and Luan Machado up at 30 to
Yes.
1. This one is coming off of the synthetic surface at Turfway Park, where he won the Jeff Ruby Stakes, as I like to call it, the JRS squared.
Hmm.
The thing about the Kentucky Derby is that it's 10 furlongs, a mile and a quarter. Most of these horses are never going to try to go this distance ever again. So pedigree plays a lot
Right.
into it. And if you look at the pedigree here, Final Gambit has the best pedigree to handle this no problem. It's another horse that's going to come from off the pace. So who knows if the Axeman gets a open lane and a clean ride at 30 to 1, you might be sitting on an absolute
Mm.
shot. Like that's won the last 3 or 4 Kentucky
And I
Derbies.
see he had a big buyer jump from 63 to 90 in his last one. That's pretty impressive. He's only had 4 starts, but he's a deep closer. And more importantly, Wolf, I have a little star next to him in my notes. So that means
There
I
you go.
saw something last night when I was jotting through some stuff though. So I like that. Final Gamut, you're touting him. Who else?
The other horse that I'm all over that did me a super solid in the Louisiana Derby. I'm going the number 14
Mm.
Tistastic with Joel Rosario up in the irons. If you want a closer, Joel Rosario is one of the best in the game.
Yes.
21 is a fantastic price for a horse that beat a good horse in instant replay in the fair at the fairgrounds in the Louisiana Derby, running exactly the exact same race that we need him to run in the Kentucky Derby. And I love it at this price. Steve Asmussen is the winningest trainer in North American history, and he's only putting distance between him and the other people because he has so many horses. He's never won a Kentucky
Mm.
Derby. I feel like under the radar, like it was a lot of pressure. He had the favorite with like Epicenter a couple years ago. Now, kind of under the radar, a horse like this, a pace setup. I absolutely love Tistastic in this spot, and I don't think you've seen the best of Tistastic yet. Is the big thing. I feel like there are a lot of horses in here you've seen the best
Right.
of. You haven't seen the best of what Tistastic can
I
do.
love it. Distance pedigree, tap it, right? Is the sire or whatever it is, I believe. And
Uh,
was Tap It his dad?
Tistastic Tis the Law
Oh, okay.
is the sire for Tistastic, who's by constitution. But I do believe he's either got Tappet or AP Indy. I think it's maybe Tappet on the bottom line
Okay.
of the pedigree.
And you're right
Stand
about and
side.
you're right about Rosario. He's the best at weaving in there and like stalking and like if you want a closer who can get through traffic, you definitely want Rosario. Those are 2 great horses. I have them. I have them definitely in some exotics. How deep in the exotics do you go on Derby Day? How many will
You
be on your
know,
card?
I will play at most the trifecta. I'll try to stick with the exacta
Okay.
trifecta. I'm not as much of like a horizontal better, like your pick
Right.
fives, pick fours. I dabble with pick threes, do a lot of daily doubles, but with this, I'll probably try to stick to like I have such strong opinions on horses who are massive prices in the morning line that like I think it just an exacta, a strong $5 exacta could really get the job
Yeah.
done if you put together Final Gambit and Tistastic,
Right.
or Final Gambit and anybody
Yes, that's
together.
true. What do you think of the number 10 Grande? I've been looking at Grande for a little bit. Terrible name as well, but Todd Pletcher horse, second at the Wood. Um, Also limited experience, but has been coming on lately. I thought a little bit.
I think that that buyer speed figure that came out of the Wood Memorial, it feels a little bit heavy, a little bit
Hmm.
exaggerated because I just don't it was not a sharp field that that Rodriguez beat along with Grande there, the Micropoli
Right.
horse. And I just really don't you know, I think it's a little bit of a fool's gold there with that figure, and I think a lot of people are going to chase that figure. And if it is true, then I think it's another horse that I feel like has already run his best race and can only take a step
Fair.
down as opposed to moving
That's
up.
all I need to hear. There's nothing better than throwing out horses in the Derby. Nothing more better than betting them, putting them in, and throwing them out, never thinking of them again, and then they wind up winning. I believe that's going to happen to me with Sandman. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about Sandman. And he's 7-1 because he's all over the place. He did win at Arkansas Derby, but he's immature, as they say. He's like jumping all around. But that is the kind of style that wins these things sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you also have the curse of the 17 hole, never winning a Kentucky
Yes.
Derby too, going against it.
What about the
So
eight?
who knows? It could be the Fairleigh Dickinson,
Talk me out of sovereignty too on the 18 hole because I was hoping to get better odds, but now it's on 5-1. I'm like, well, screw that. I mean, they got the Hall of Fame trainer, Bill Muff, and and that Go Dolphin Factory looking for that first Derby win. They're just kind of hilarious. I think they try too hard. That's why I don't want them to win.
One of my favorite things about Godolphin is, if the Sheikh's daughter is alive or missing at any given time. You're not quite sure. But I do love Godolphin. I do love, as I call him, Saucy William, Bill Mott.
Yes.
Listen, Sovereignty ran a hell of a race in the Florida Derby, finishing second by a length and a half, drawing the 10 hole, which is really difficult
Hmm.
at Gulfstream Park, being that far out in a two-turn race. So I think it's a strong figure, but you also look at the Fountain of Youth race, which returned to 95 buyer. It's taking a step
Okay.
back. So did we see the best in the Fountain of Youth? Is the horse freshened up a little bit? At that price at 5-1 in this
Yeah.
Derby, I want to play against this
Right,
horse.
100%. That's what the prices really turns me off on that one. Is there any long shot bombs you're looking at? I know Coal Battle is a fan favorite, bought for $70,000. I think it has no chance, but it does like all conditions. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I mean the long shots I like are the two big prices
Yeah.
I like mentioned with the Final Gambit and Tistastic. There's a lot of smoke behind Flying
Yes,
Mohawk.
I heard that too.
A lot of people really like, which I don't necessarily see it, but there's a lot of talk. There's also a lot of talk for Chunk of Gold, who finished second behind Tistastic in that Louisiana
Mm.
Derby, who's one of these like grind around, knock around horses that might not win a Derby, but it might round out a
And
superfecta
he
or a
was bought
trifecta.
for $2,500 originally, Chunk of Gold. And I have a soft
Yeah,
spot for any name with the name Chunk in it. You know what I mean? When you're rooting for Chunk of anything, you got to pull for that.
yeah, yeah.
What if
As a fat kid,
yeah,
I completely commiserate with that
right.
shit.
And Goonies, the whole chunk thing, which put a lot of kids like us having shirts on in the pool in the 80s, but we're making a comeback with the 19 horse. What if Baeza gets in there? Do we think he has a shot if he sneaks in there in the field? I know you got to keep your eyes out for that.
Yeah, it's always the horse that you forget that
Right.
draws in at the last minute that seems to do it to folks. I think Baeza could probably get a pretty good trip. Once again, you ran a 101 in the Santa Anita Derby and against a 5-horse field and finished second. I have a hard time. Santa Anita figures are notoriously like inflated
Mm-hmm.
in the daily racing form, and I feel like you're seeing that there. In another case of this horse, I think probably takes a step
All
backwards.
right. Fair enough there. So those are two great horses. You have an Oaks pick too, you said?
Yeah, I'm going away from Good Cheer, who I think is an incredible horse. Has won 6 for 6, 3 for 3 at Churchill
Mm-hmm.
Downs. 6-5 on the morning line. 14 horse race. I'm going around it, and I'm using the 14 Quiet Side for Short Leaf Stables, trained by Johnny Ortiz. Going to be ridden by Jose Ortiz, no relation. And I think this horse gets a really nice wide stalking trip behind what should be a pretty fasterly paced. A lot of these horses at 3 years old at this point, like they've kind of barely learned how to pass other horses. So I think everyone's going to be kind of going, and I think that horse is going to sit, off wide and take advantage of it. So I like it at 8-1. That's who I'm connecting to Tistastic and Final Gambit in my Oaks Derby double.
Love it. Love the Oaks Derby double. Final Gambit, Tastic, the 3 and the 14, just for everyone. Now, have you ever been to the Kentucky Derby there, Chase?
I haven't. I've been to a Breeders' Cup, but I have not been to the Derby.
You're not missing anything. I used to go to Preakness when it mattered. Back when people used to jump on the court and try to punch the horses. Those were the good old days. But it gets, like I said, it gets dangerous when you win money at the Kentucky Derby. Then you have to walk to like downtown Louisville, and it's a haves and have-nots out there. I'll just say that. Where are you going to watch it this weekend?
I will watch it from the safety of the home. I hate like the track and other social things on big days. Like I really want to just like be sweaty and degen and stress out over results and everything. So yeah, I'll watch it from the home.
Sounds good. Thank you. The Wolf of Oaklawn. Now, besides the show, Notorious OTB. I know you have a busy week. That's why I appreciate you coming on here. What else can I see you, hear you, or whatever you want to say?
You can always find me being abrasive on Twitter at of Oaklawn. Check out the Notorious OTB. I'm going to be on Steffi Smalls in just a little bit. I'll be on Dad's Bet with Berg. I can't remember the name of the show. Forgive me. I got the SGP tomorrow. I'm all over the place. So,
that's why I thank you for taking time to scum it up with Scumbagger Vance. Everyone's been saying we got to get together. So I'm like, what perfect time and horse racing time. Horse racing time? Yeah, whatever. See, I'm getting delirious. All right, Chase. I'll thank you out. Thanks for doing picks, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. There it is. The Wolf of Oaklawn.